All right. Good morning and welcome to the first Lucky Trader Lounge of 2022. Logan and Lou here from Lucky Trader, both sporting our Lucky Trader beanies that just came in not too long ago. Before we get any questions about that, I do not have an answer as to when any sort of merchandise may be available to the general public. So just try to address that right out front. Lou, how are you doing? How were the holidays? You ready to be back?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a wild couple weeks. I think a lot of people have been, like on vacation and more time talking to other people about things like NFTs. And now the whole like tax loss harvesting thing is behind us. And the last few days have just been wild. And some people are thinking that it's because of that. But I think it's more from people being home, like for the holidays, and they were just like taking a break in general. And now they're back, and it's sort of been a crazy few days here to start the year.
It has definitely been a crazy few days. That's actually like the perfect way to just kind of push us right into everything. And one of the key highlights before we get into previewing the week is, as it has been a little slower from our side of things, with the holidays and whatnot. Just a little recap. And in terms of recap, I think there's really only one place to focus in general, Lou, and it's got to be apes and, in the whole ape ecosystem. So not just Bored Ape Yacht Club, but mutants are unbelievable. And even Bored Ape Kennel Club, which has lagged considerably, relatively speaking, when compared to both the apes and the mutants, despite it being the first, companion, whatever you want to call that, in this ecosystem. Everything is kind of going wild. So if I bring in my screen here in just a second to show some of the project rankings at luckytrader.com, it has been full speed ahead for all of these things. So take a look at the project ranking page. We chatted a little bit about this and what might happen as the calendar turns. You mentioned the tax loss harvesting stuff, but if you take a look, Bored Ape Yacht Club now, the flippening is in, and it's the real one at this point in time, right? We talked about the kind of the forced fake flippening. There's like a brief moment in time before the end of the year that this took place. But then there was a quick reversion and then, really kind of stabilized itself. But it's in now, and it's a real flippening. The Bored Ape Yacht Club floor, as of right now,
over 5 ETH.
Yeah. 5 ETH difference, that is, between the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the CryptoPunk floor. See Bored Ape Kennel Club there. Like, look at the massive amounts of sales and volume. Floor price up, almost 8 right now for Bored Ape Kennel Club. That's pushing on, that's, again, right next to it, right below it, CloneX. It's almost 2 Ethereum. It's more than 2 Ethereum greater than CloneX. And this is arguably the third piece of maybe not even arguably, right? The third piece of the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. And then, if you just search up mutant apes here, I'm toggled on. We're having the caching error, it looks like. Mutant apes, though, again, another one of those collections that is just like not slowed down in the slightest. Absolutely bonkers behavior from mutant apes in the last couple weeks. We've gone from 6 to 8. We were talking about before the end of the year, because we both had mutant exposure. Like, what would it take to maybe sell a mutant? And this was around 6 ETH floor. We're talking about maybe at 10, right? And we just went from 6 to 15 in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And to go off the point with the kennel, it always seemed like people, I don't want to say hated them, but they weren't actually an ape. So I think that's why people were preferring the mutants, because there's only 10,000 of the dogs, but it seems like they keep giving this utility and this sense of you're part of the group if you have a mutant, and they haven't been really giving that direct utility to the Kennel Club. And that's why I haven't gone in and gotten those, but it's to look back, it's more like you're betting on the ecosystem itself, and that one had the highest percent ROI if you were buying in at 2 or 3 ETH compared to these other ones. So yeah, kind of mad that I didn't just buy more of the dogs just as a play on like the whole thing in
Yeah.
general. But a lot of prices right now I think are too high on things, and a lot of them are following the, oh well, apes just did this, so like everything else should be going up. And then there's just a lot of like random projects that probably shouldn't be going up right now that have been. But yeah, it's been
Yeah.
like everything pretty much on that page is green.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a ton of green, a lot of green and like noticeable green. So if you couldn't already tell, the conditional formatting on the rankings page at luckytrader.com/NFT/project rankings is going to give you different shades of that color to, signify the intensity of that move, the magnitude of the move in terms of percent change. So as you scroll through, there's a lot of bright green. There's some more neutrals. There's some dulled reds from time to time, but there's a lot of bright green. As you mentioned, before we slide into kind of what's coming here, as you mentioned, there are some projects that, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense as to why there's such a huge move in the last couple days. I think that mid tier, and of course, this is like a new thing that you can do on the Lucky Trader Project rankings page if you didn't already know. You can actually add in filters because there is a lot of noise in here, right? Maybe you don't care
Yeah.
about projects that are like, maybe you have a small bankroll and you don't care about projects that have a floor of 1+, right? You can't possibly grab those. So you could filter on floor and use our little, I clicked on the wrong button here, but you can add in a little filter that makes sure that you put in less than 1 Ethereum, right? And then it's going to automatically sort for you all the floors that are less than 1 Ethereum. So just a nice little way to find only what you wish to find. Additionally, you may notice this little My Favorites tab. It's not quite active just yet with all the features and functions that it will soon have, but you'll also be able to do that should you wish to, again, cut through noise and create a more curated experience for yourself. Nevertheless, as you mentioned, Lou, a lot of these projects in like a range of, I don't know, 0.2 to like 0.5, like did really, really well over the course of the last few days as well. So you had projects like Little Lemons, right? You had projects like Thingdoms did pretty well. Cool Man's, man, these are just full disclosure, some projects that I was paying close attention to as I made some purchases in those ranges, but like Nuclear Nerds, right? Like there were a whole handful of those in that range that did really, really well. On Chain Monkeys and beyond that did really, really well. Slim Hood, look at Slim Hoods, man. Slim Hoods, and I think even the Mood Rollers from the
Yeah.
RCC did really, really well. Peaceful Groupies back up, like all of these projects that were kind of in that range. You'll see, many didn't move. But some of those that had their day, at least one day, did do really, really well over the course of the last few days.
Yeah, and like part of it, like I think comes from the tax harvest discussion of like the last couple weeks, where someone who maybe bought a groupie at 1 ETH is going in and trying to sell it at 0.3, and people are driving the floor down. And then now that it's the new year, they buy back in, and there's that sort of push. But I think a lot of it still comes down to the money that was circulating in the Bored Ape ecosystem, because when people are selling a Bored Ape for 70 Ethereum, like they then go and buy other things because they're likely selling it, they're going to pocket a bunch, and then, oh, I'm going to go buy a Cool Cat because I've been watching that for a while, or I'm going to go buy a Clonex, a couple of those, because you're seeing what
Yeah.
they're trying to grow. So I think a lot of times there's people that had multiples of these higher end things, and once those sell, they have money that they, and we've noticed it when the Ethereum price started going down a few weeks ago, where people aren't just rushing and withdrawing out to USD into their banks. Like they're throwing it back in the ecosystem in some way, or they're putting it in stable coins and then waiting to pump it back in. So it seems like people are taking profits and keeping it within the ecosystem in some way. But there's also like coins that people are investing in, and in like other stuff as well. But
Yeah.
um I think it's nice to see that people are trying to like keep it within the same ecosystem at least. And that has this sort of trickle down effect that we're seeing now.
Yeah. One last thing, like on that point that you're talking about, just kind of macroscopically before we get into some of these other items for this week ahead, is that the bear bull stuff as it pertains to NFTs has largely, and there's not a ton of data on this, but has largely followed the price of Ethereum. And so as we've seen price go up considerably for Ethereum, you've seen things slow on, the NFT side. As you've seen prices go down, it tends to typically allow for some activity to get up, to go up. What we've seen in the last few weeks, there are a lot of macro variables at play here, tax loss harvesting, et cetera. But what we've seen in the last few weeks is just kind of ETH ranging and chopping or crabbing or whatever, people, actual traders call this. But, a considerable stability, not the right word, right? But like some level of consistency, at least in terms of the Ethereum price. And where it hasn't been, it's been going down, which has generally been positive for NFTs anyway. So it's kind of a last macro point. I do want to move off. There's a lot of stuff to potentially cover. And please, if you're in the audience and you have questions about 2022 in general, whatever, I think we're here to talk about a whole host of things. But this week in particular, a couple notable updates to items from existing projects, as well as some reveals for those that had just previously dropped. So I'm going to head back to the NFT project schedule page to show you guys. Excuse me, sorry. If you toggle off the upcoming drops into the project updates, you'll be able to find some notable information regarding, what's kind of coming. So in terms of reveals, Primate Planet, which has done really well in the last few days, Fiat Lux, which dropped again here recently, is expected to have reveals out for both of those later today, 4 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Eastern, respectively. Those asset explorers will be available for your exploration if you wish to, later today at luckytrader.com. The one that I want to spend a little bit more time talking about, though, is this bottom item, Chain Faces Arena. Chain Faces, of course, from Nate Alex. Chain Faces Arena, in this kind of second iteration of this project being a new mechanic, and just, in my opinion, a ton of fun. So I'm going to just hop over here. If you guys had not already seen it, you don't already know what Chain Faces are. They're kind of the little character. Do you call it an emoticon when it's not?
It's
you know what I'm talking about? Okay,
is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not sure, but anyway, I'll let you explain the arena and the game that's coming, though. But if you have not already seen the Chain Faces, because this is one of the original
OG.
Yeah, this is a pretty old project. At least the first iteration of Chain Faces, not Chain Faces Arena,
right,
but the first one, is an older project that, again, fully on chain, a notable personality that is high reputation individual who has built a ton of stuff. Nate Alex also built Squiggly's WTF. Which is very, very notable as well. But anyway, you should go ahead and take a look at some of the original collection. I bought early this year. Pranksy alerted me and some friends to Chain Faces, which I was unaware of, probably in the February range. So I actually own an original Chain Face. The issue is I've been traveling and I was unable to mint Chain Faces Arena with my whitelist because the asset is on a ledger that I didn't have access to during my travels. But anyway, Lou, explain to me, as I get the screen set up here and try to bring up some Chain Faces for folks to take a look, explain to me Chain Faces Arena, and any thoughts, opinions, takes that you have regarding it.
Yeah, and I hope I don't explain it incorrectly, but the way I understand it is, so there's 26 and change thousand of these, and people are whitelisted. I had 2 whitelist mints that I got. There was basically a Discord that popped up where if you got in the Discord, I think there was around 9,000 people that got in for that whitelist, and you're able to mint 2 each, and then another 8 to 10,000 got thrown into a public sale that minted out pretty quickly. And it was minting at 0.069, I believe. And so basically you can choose, you have until, it's going to be around 6 p.m. Eastern time today. And it's based off of the block. So it's the time isn't exact, but it was based off of 6,969 blocks after the mint out. And so basically, you have an arena that they're calling it, where you can send your NFT to it, and they all battle. And there's this like lion, and it eats some of the faces and not other faces. So there's an RNG to it. And so, say there's 10,000 NFTs that get thrown in there, only 1,000 are going to get killed off in the first round. And then there's 9,000 left. And at the end of the round, you can choose to end your journey and take profit. There's a prize pool basically that sits there. And the longer that you last in the arena, the more you can take off. However, if you die in the arena, the NFT is gone and you can't take any money. So
permadeath.
Basically, they're running the arena until there's one NFT remaining, and that one NFT gets everything left in the prize pool at the end. So if you leave, you can't hop back in. You can't hop back in after that block at 6 p.m. starts. So right now, I think there's around 7,000 NFTs that have chosen to be in the arena. Once you choose to go in, you can't come out until after one of the rounds. And they're 15-minute rounds, so it's going to happen pretty quickly. And each round, they're going to say how many get cut off. So, okay, so right now, 97,
almost
95,
10,000. Yeah.
And it's about 7 hours away. So the bounty is around 700 Ethereum. And that per warrior thing is, if you were to, right now, as of now, if you went into that first round and made it through, you could leave with 0.07. So what's interesting is right now the floor on OpenSea is around 0.1. So if you're going into the arena, you're going to want to be in for multiple rounds, because if you take it back out, like it's technically negative EV if you like bought in, not from minting. But right now, I don't know if that bounty number goes up or not, but as it stands, there's not a future utility. There are people theorizing like, oh, maybe he's hinted at there's going to be another project. So the potential is like, if you still have one of the NFTs, you might be able to get like whitelist onto a future thing. And then the other thing they're going to have with it is, if for every 10 rounds that your NFT lasts, they add a scar to your NFT. So that's going to create a different like rarity factor to it. Like, oh, like a battle scar, like you lasted 10 rounds in the arena. So I think at around the 10 point, there's going to be some game theory of people leaving the arena to see their battle scar. And then other people are going to just stick it out. So I'm not sure what I want to do yet on it. I mean, I've put some into the arena, debating on buying more just so that like I have like flexibility where, oh, like, say I threw 10 into the arena and 4 of them made it through the first 10 rounds, then I can like take one out of the arena. So then I always have one with a battle scar. There's a lot of weird, interesting like game theories that are going to be involved with it. And it's kind of cool. It's like, it's definitely different from like anything else. It's sort of similar to Wolf Game, like the idea of these game theories where you're essentially staking it for a X amount of period of time, and the longer you stake it, the higher it's a risk reward, but you could potentially get more reward the longer you hold it in the arena for. So it's kind of cool idea, I think.
I think it's super unique. Yeah, this is a good question. And I like the comparison to Wolf Game, though I actually do believe that this game is easier to understand. So Ryan Hodge asking, are they burning tokens if they don't make it through? Yeah. So right now, the way that it happens is like And you can read it's very simply explained, in my opinion, on the Chain Faces Arena website. Nate Alex did a great job of making sure the mechanics are well known. But as Lou just iterated in his kind of breakdown of the project, is that if you send something to the arena and it does not make it through a particular round, yes, it's gone, right? So you're actually like, in terms of the token itself too, for people that are new to this, right? When you interact with a contract like this, or you stake an NFT with a contract, you're actually like sending that NFT out of your wallet into the staking contract wallet, right? We'll call it that. And that's where that resides. And then when some sort of action and if then right occurs, it can be resent to you or you can reclaim it or whatever. In this instance, if you send in and then your thing loses, your warrior, is that what they're calling them, right? Chain Face Arena warriors. If your warrior loses, yes, it's gone. It's gone for good. So permadeath. Oh, we talked about like crypto raiders, right? Is explored and kind of messed around with the thoughts of permadeath for crypto raiders. This is kind of that, actually taking place. It is deflationary in that regard as well. So Lou, you're talking about like decisions to be made about how many do you send in? How many do you hold over as kind of like remnants of this? Hey, I was a warrior and like I'm still alive. Or, I think it's really interesting. A couple key points that I just want to pull out from what Lou said, just to kind of summarize again, is, the aspect that you have until that block goes live later tonight to enter. So like you don't need to rush in. You can kind of continue to watch on the UI right on the site. I'll pull it back up for those who are watching on YouTube. But the UI right on the site lets you know how many blocks are left until the arena is going to be, closed off and the fighting.
I bet there's going to be like a mad rush of staking towards the end too. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this got up to like 20,000.
Yeah, well, the great part is the transparency here is that you can see the bounty, you can see the expected potential bounty per warrior. You can see how many warriors are actually in. And I mean, you could find all this stuff anyway on Etherscan or whatever, but Nate has done a great job of building this in a way so that it's super transparent and easy for those who may be wishing to participate to see it right up front. So that's the first note. You have up until block 6969 so you have about 2,000 blocks.
69 after the sellout.
Right. So you have about 2,000 blocks remaining, and that is meaning blocks on the Ethereum blockchain that need to be full until it gets to the next, right? So quite literally blocks. You have about 2,000, almost 2,000 remaining, approximately 6 hours, 59 minutes until the arena closes down for competition. So you have that time to enter. Once it is started, if you have entered and you make it through a round, as Lou mentioned, that's about 15 minutes per round. You have like a small amount of time before the next round starts that you could take your guy out. Let's say you get through the first one, you want to take your guy out, you can do so. You'll receive a little, a prorated amount of the bounty for that particular amount based on how many warriors are left and based on the total bounty. So you would get a little bit. You won't get a battle scar if you come out after one round, but you could come out and your token is alive. Once you've come out, you can't go back in, right? Yeah. Other thing I wanted to mention, the scarring thing is super cool to me. So if you survive 10 rounds, right, that's 10 separate rounds, you will get at least one kind of like battle scar. It will require a refresh of metadata on OpenSea, but you'll be able to actually see it at some point. And then another thing that sometimes maybe gets lost in here is actually like as you progress, you'll also see your chain faces level. You can see that on OpenSea as well in the properties data. You'll see the level of your chain face increase as well, which is another note there that will help to, suss out some sort of rarity, if you wish to call it that, as this moves forward. I just think this is super innovative. Like this is the stuff, whether it works or not, and I expect it to work. The smart contracting. I think Nate Alex is, probably one of the most notable builders here, in the NFT space. So I'm totally expecting that this is going to kind of fly off without a hitch. I think it's awesome that we are innovating in this way to try to do unique things. The other thing I'll say here is, I'm not actively participating in Wolf Game. I think it's been great that the game theory, as you mentioned, Lou, I think it's a pretty good comparison here actually as well. I love that this one is not as cryptic. It is just like transparent from the start, much easier to understand for folks who want to participate. You know, you're not sort of like cryptically awaiting some beanie tweet or like the shepherd to like tell you what's next. You know what I mean? Like Nate has put it all on the table. Is like, this is how it's going to work. And you know, there is a lot, we talk about this all the time, right? Like there are a lot of roadblocks to participating in NFTs and in crypto in general. And many of them have to do with education. Many of them have to do with like not understanding what the hell to do. And so while the cryptic nature of things can add some level of mystery and like hype and excitement, making it easy for people to understand, like making it easy to interact with, is, in my opinion, just like a huge, nice, awesome addition to many, many other projects which are not quite so focused on transparency. We had a question about, is it good to just buy one and hold it? Of course, no financial advice here, but this is a collection that is going to, you know, exist beyond the arena, right? So you don't have to participate in the arena. The arena will allow you to understand whether or not, you know, how many of these are going to burn, right? Only one chain face is coming out of this.
Yeah,
right?
So I'd answer this question two ways. I'd say, if you only had one, I would just throw it in. I think you could save them, but as of now, he's made it pretty clear that they're not going to have a future utility. So it's just I mean, we don't know how many are going to be held back. Like right now, there's like 15, 16,000 that aren't even going into the arena. So in that sense, like I wouldn't want to hold it as a collector's item. But if at the end, like it's hard to like go into the future, right? We don't know how many people are going to be pulling them back out. So I think if the collection at the end turned out to be like 2,000 of them, then that's where holding it would be cool. But I think the risk is pretty low to drop it at first. So, I mean, for me, that it's tough. This is part of the game theory as well, where there's going to be some that, oh, this one never went into the arena, and it's kind of like if you never breed something in other NFTs, like that could be something that they go for more down the road. Like this was an untouched one, that you minted and you never threw into the arena. So, I mean, there is like a reason to say that, but I also think it's potential that the ones that don't go in the arena just never have any value. So, to me, like if you had 10, that goes back to my theory of like why I'd be interested in having like a lot of them, because then you can have flexibility where some you expect to die along the way, and then other ones you like might pull back and take some profits back. But I think if I just had one, I would throw it in and just take the chances, because everything they've said made it sound like there's not anything to determine which ones have a higher chance of getting through than others. There have been top sales. Obviously, these have traits similar to the other chain spaces where they have, they call them symmetry, where if the pieces are perfectly symmetrical, or what they call partial symmetrical. Yeah, so these ones are perfect symmetrical, right? So these ones had been selling for more. Those are like one of ones at the top there. They're the gray. So there's different backgrounds. Like there are some aesthetics to it that I think some people will still be interested in, but they seem to all have the same chance of getting through the arena. They have a golf score, which is basically just like a rarity score. So, yeah, it's kind of, what do you think other people like? Why would they want it in the future? And for me,
Yeah.
unless the count really drops, I don't know if people are going to be rushing to get these, unless it's kind of like Wolf Game, where this just becomes like the first of a new style
Yeah.
of NFT game, and then people might want to look back, and this was the original one, and so I could see that being a thing too. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think there's a, you know, there's some part of me, and I don't feel like I'm the best true sense of a collector, but part of me is like really open to collecting something like this because of it being kind of a unique first of its kind type piece, right? That makes a little bit of sense to me, but I think you're right. If you're getting one, I don't know. I can see pros and cons either way.
I'm gonna, as of now, I plan to hold one back from the arena, but I also plan on throwing them into the arena. So, and part of the reason why I was looking to buy more was that flexibility where, I wish you were able to like go into the arena late because I wanted to have like that flexibility too, where
Yeah, of
some
course you
people
want to go
see,
in late.
well, yeah, but like if people see what type of returns there could be, then they're gonna want to buy these ones that didn't go into the arena to then go and do it late.
It would be interesting, and maybe we can ping Nate Alex with this. Is like, in poker you can rebuy, right? You could re-ante. So like your chain face guy dies, or if you've held back one, right, you could enter at a later round, but you also have to pay. You have to pay some ante of Ethereum to the bounty to enter. So you could, let's say you wait until the 15th round.
In the opposite way, where if you leave, like you pay rake, and it's based on how many are left, and it basically like goes back to the pool. So if I think the example they had is if you had 1 ETH and there were 100 left, if your bounty was 1 ETH and there was 100 left, then 0.1 goes to the pool when you leave. So they do have some sort of like rake system where when you're leaving, you're giving part of what you take out back to the pool. But like you said, I mean, there's 700 ETH in the pool. Like I'm really interested to see what that final prize actually is, but also what happens. Like say there's like 100 ETH left and 100 people left, right? I think it will be interesting. Some people will want to ditch at that point and just take the 1 ETH versus other people who will just like let it ride. So I think it'll be interesting on who's leaving later in the game versus early on in the game. Because I think from what I read, it seems to me what it's going to be is there's 15 minutes where here's the round. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to like live sweat it, like watch it. I assume we just like find a result. But at some point, there's going to be like an in-between rounds that's going to be short. Like I'm expecting maybe 5 minutes or so, but it could be longer, it could be shorter. But it'll be interesting to watch during that 5 minutes if people are backing out. And it's going to tell you how many are going to die in the next round, which I don't think is an exact amount. Like it's not a percent per se, but I think that number is going to come out and people are going to look at it and be like, oh, like this is a higher percent than last round, or they're going to like reassess. So it's really interesting to watch. Yeah. And that last point where it says the 1 ETH leaving will yield 0.01 ETH upon leaving the arena. Right. So
that's just
you're basically giving the 1% back.
The leaving the arena thing, and for those just joining, chatting about the Chain Faces arena before I move on here in just a second. You're talking about, those who, after you've survived a few rounds, right? What does it look like? All it's said here, there's no definitive information regarding the amount of time, but short period at the end of each round where leaving the arena is forbidden. I'm sorry. It is recommended that you leave the arena at the start of each round and use a gas value that ensures it is mined quickly.
Yeah.
So again, there's no like definitive amount of time here, but once a new round is started, you can leave, but you only have a very, very short amount of time. And as Nate has pointed out here, you're going to probably want to send that with either some sort of custom edited gas amount to ensure that it's very, very quickly taking place, or at least with fast gas. We don't exactly know what this might look like. At this point in time.
My guess is it's like an unlocked period, like say it's a minute, right? There's a time period where they tell you how many are going to be cut out the next round. Here's your opportunity to leave. And then if you don't leave, it's probably going to be like, maybe it's just a block. Maybe it's 5 blocks or something. It seems like they're going off of blocks with the whole on-chain theme to it.
I would imagine it's going to be less than a block. It might be 1 full block.
Well, it'd have to be like a full block, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know exactly what
it'll be interesting to watch. And like I said before, like I'm interested to see what kind of sweat it is. Like if they're going to have any sort of like show, like where you can watch, because they described it as a lion, a hungry lion that's going to eat the chain faces, and you watch them over time, and the round ends once the lions have chose that amount. So let's say that there's 1,000 that are going in the first round. You'll watch the ticker go up, and once it gets to 999, like you're not safe until you see that 1,000 number hit. So I think it'll be kind of cool and interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think it's definitely one of the most innovative things that we've seen in quite some time. As we've made note, Nate Alex, a super, super interesting builder, somebody who has been quite adamant and vocal about the fact that this is a project that, you know, he could have very easily built some random shit profile picture project and done super crazy, you know, money in seconds, but instead opted to build something like this that is a lot more fun and innovative. Glenn's question about confirming entry. Yeah, so this is previous to the entire arena, excuse me, and battle taking place. It was block 6969 after public sale, right, Lou? That you have to have confirmed whether or not you're in. So as of right now on the site itself, if you take a look at Chain Faces Arena, you have about 1,878 blocks remaining until it starts. So you have to confirm whether or not you're going to be in, send your warriors into the arena prior to that block. So you've got about 7 hours.
So I think based on this question, so what you do is you go to your wallet and you'll see the NFTs that you've purchased, and you click on it and it'll pop up, and you have to like check off a box and then click confirm and then sign a transaction. So I think that might be what his question specifically was.
I think he was just asking about when he has to decide whether or not he wants to play. So he's got about 7 hours to decide when he wants to play.
Yeah. So just follow that countdown, basically.
Yep. So it's super interesting. We haven't really seen too much crazy price movement as far as these assets go on the secondary market. As Lou mentioned, they're about 0.1 in terms of the floor price as of right now, showing 0.1 in the banner here on the Assets Explorer at luckytrader.com. Later today, we'll see what happens, how many more are added in, what happens. It should be fun to follow regardless. Like I said, I actually, full disclosure, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I have not yet added anything here. I was unable to mint as my whitelisted ledger. It was not with me, but I think I'm going to participate here just for this to me is whether or not my stuff gets through. This to me is kind of like I almost want to sort of support the cause and see what happens type thing.
Yeah.
So this is like, what, the last time I did this, Lou, we were on stream, I believe. The last time I did this type of thing was I donated to the Constitution DAO, right? Kind of as a what, shits and giggles, I'll throw in my 2 cents too. And that ended up being super lucrative based on the explosion of the people price later. So perhaps I'll throw my hat into the ring here, throw my warrior into the, gladiator mode and get super lucky. Last question before we move off, because we spent a lot of time on this, but I think it deserved it. How much do you expect the final, the winning chain face, right? So of all these assets, not all of them will enter. We have no clue how many may remain. But let's say there's 10,000 that are at least going to be chopped off, more or less, right? Approximately 10,000. So the number one winner, how much do you expect that commands like price wise on the secondary market?
Oh, on the market. I was thinking what the final like purse
Yeah.
would be,
I
because
don't care
there's
about the
700. So there's 700 ETH, and that
right.
0.07 is assuming that if everyone were to drop out. So, I
Right.
was wondering if you're the last one alive, would you be making like 500 Ethereum? I was more like, are you even trying to resell that on the market? But like, you're getting that purse too. That's
Yeah.
where I think it could be interesting. Like towards the end, say there's like 10 left, someone backs out with 10 left. Would they be selling it on the market? I'm not sure. I haven't thought of it like as the winner. Like, there's some big name people that are part of this project. Like, would someone like a Pranksy or Jimmy go and want to buy that as like the trophy? It's gonna be some sort of one of one with like the
Yeah.
battle scars it has. So that's interesting. Like, I could see that going for, I don't know, 20
25.
plus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
I could
thinking.
see 20 plus. Like, I'm not thinking it's gonna go for too much more than that, because it's more like a collector's item.
Yeah.
And it's all like randomized anyway. So I don't think it's like, oh, because this won X amount of rounds, like the next time it was in a game, it'd be that much better. I don't think that's necessarily going to be a thing, but arena score is one of the traits. So as you win through rounds, it adds to it. So you would be able to like filter it. It would be some sort of a one of one in that sense.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it's an awesome, like unique, innovative project. Chain Faces Arena. If you folks have not already checked it out, of course you can check out the assets on luckytrader.com. Chain Faces Arena. The arena itself will open later today, about 7 hours from now, approximately 7 hours from now. And you will need to decide whether or not you wish to throw your warrior into the ring amongst all the others. There were approximately 10,000 of those as of right now. And yeah, it'll be super interesting. I want to hop back though to the NFT project schedule page, take a look at, what else is coming. So we talked about Primate Planet, Fiat Lux reveals, Chainface Arena later today. We spent a lot of time on that. But one of the other, a couple other big notes from this week, January 5th and 6th. So the 5th is Wednesday, the 6th is Thursday. Two other notable bits of information from existing projects. Meta Hero Universe, the trading of the POW token. So there was a 30-day locking period. January 5th is when that will expire. Those 30 days will expire. And so people are unlocked and can then trade that token. And then Creature World, Danny Cole and Creature World, was it last night or maybe 2 days ago now, showcased some of the launching of the clothing line from Creature World in partnership with Advisory. Did you where do you want to start here, Lou? Do you want to start on POW? You're a Meta Hero holder, correct?
Yeah, so I think I'm really interested to see what this one is, because with the pumps in the market recently, it seems like the Meta Heroes had lagged a little, which I thought was interesting because a lot of them were being staked and it's a lower supply count already. So there's only 6,000 of them. There's still obviously like the mint pass that hasn't been fully used. But there are people that have been staking this for the full month, and the price is up to 5. I think it was in the low 3s up through until the weekend, and so it had a little bit of a recent charge, but I think this is like a precursor to the ape coin, the milk coin that we're seeing for these other big name projects. And I mean, Pixel Vault has one of the highest funding of any project out there. They probably have more funding than Cool Cats do because of all the different they have the planets, they have the Punks comic stuff. So I'm interested to see the trading activity of this POW token, and tokens are hot right now, and this one is like a more
Tokens are
legitimized one, I'd say, where the way I understand it is this POW token is going to be part of the universe, the game itself. And there's different. Some people are saying it's going to be like $1 a token. Others are saying it's going to be like 20 cents. And I think it was you earn 1,000 of the tokens per week. So if over the 30 days, you could have basically 4,000 tokens that you've accumulated over that time. So it'll be interesting to see what the initial trading activity is on these, because people are going to want them if they're going to be participating in the game aspect of it. So I could see people wanting to buy into it. But yeah, like I said, like this is gonna show, I think, some sort of activity as far as what Milk and Ape might do, which people are buying into those in anticipation of this. However, people aren't buying into this one. I think because of the staking already started, might have been why. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how this turns out in a couple days.
Yeah. So from the note on luckytrader.com, again, in the project updates part of the schedule, roughly 20 million POW. I think they're calling it POW, right? 2%, around 2% of the supply is expected to unlock. So only 2% of the supply, but 20 million total tokens. As Lou threw out a couple speculative points about what that price may look like as per, just complete speculation at present time. But this is, again, decided the in-game currency of the forthcoming Meta Hero game. They have this whole Meta Hero universe that's being created. As Lou pointed out, you have the identities, which we've shown here on the screen. You can view the assets, the rarities via the Asset Explorer, luckytrader.com. They have started to run a little bit, Lou. These were in the 3.5 range for a while. Like maybe, actually we can take a look. If you head to the overview pages on luckytrader.com, you take a look at floor price movements. This big long line is just as a result of us first loading the data. But if you take a look here, quite a bit of stagnation.
This combines with the Mint Pass.
This is just the Meta Hero identities.
Yeah.
Yep. Quite a bit of stagnation here for a while. And then you have this, I know, let me zoom in here. You can actually scroll across here. Zoom in here from the last few days. So Wednesday, December 29th, up until today, Monday, January 3rd. And we're starting to see some movement. And actually, this lags a little bit the other tools on the site for the data points. So up around 5 now, floor price. So people are getting ready for the POW unlock. I wouldn't suggest necessarily that folks are buying Meta Heroes at this point in time for the POW, because you can't do much with it. But
so that 2% of the supply. So this was that initial 30 days. And I guess it's kind of like whitelisting, like getting an early kind of idea, because you could still be staking them for the next 6 months is to get to finish out the rest of that 20 million of the tokens. So I'm not sure if the rate increases after this, or if the rate was higher during these 30 days, maybe. But yeah, people will still be able to stake after, but this is when the actual trading of the token is started. So I believe the liquidity will be out there, and you can buy in if you want. Some people already have, like I said, thousands of these tokens that they've earned through the staking. So it'll be interesting to see if people are going to be selling those or just want to hold them in order to play the game. I'm not sure if there's a lot of details on ways to use the tokens in game yet. So some people might just hold in that idea of, well, I already have this, so might as well just keep it staked and keep earning more of them.
Yeah. I think the other thing we should say, though, too, is maybe you want exposure to Meta Heroes. Maybe you want exposure to Pixel Vault in general. And you are completely priced out of buying a Meta Hero identity. And, you feel like you've missed out and no longer will be kind of getting your, we'll call it free airdrop of, the POW token, right? The Meta Hero Identity Universe token. You will be able to trade this token, and acquire it via, a DEX like Uniswap, for example. So if you still wish to participate actively, you can do so at a later date. You don't need to feel bad about missing out on anything here. And you could passively sort of attach yourself to this project in some way, right? With these utility tokens, in-game currencies, right? There is no, although Pixel Vault is working with like legitimate litigators, right? And legitimate legal teams. I don't know what they might do in terms of, securitizing or not. My guess is not, of course, right? So all these projects need to explicitly state that there is no economic utility to these tokens. But in this instance, who knows what might happen with this project, given that they have been more progressive than others and have pushed on things like this. So nevertheless, you could still potentially align yourself with the rest of the project by actively purchasing the token on the secondary market, which you will be able to do. So, don't fret. If you wish to get this, you'll have that opportunity in a few days when unlock happens and we see what happens on the secondary market, as Lou pointed out, with liquidity becoming available for those. I want to hop over as we're coming up on time here to one of the other big notes that was on our sheet and on the project updates at luckytrader.com, which is the Creature World news regarding the streetwear with advisory. Did you scroll through these, Lou? Did you take a look? We've seen this sweater before, right? Danny Cole, that is, as the creator of Creature World, has sort of given us an indication that this particular piece would be something that would be out there in the wild. But did you scroll through these options? Did you take a look at all these?
No, was that a painting, like a print?
No, I mean,
the picture.
Have you seen this before?
The one that you just clicked on.
Oh yeah, this is part of the clothing line. Oh,
but yeah, what's that? Is that?
Oh, it's just somebody modeling the. He's
modeling. They're wearing the shirt.
Yeah, they're modeling the clothing here. You can take a look at this, folks, on Twitter. One of the most recent Creature World NFT stuff. One of their tweets, but it's quite unique. I don't expect anything different. I was tweeting. I looked at this. There's two things I think I could reasonably wear. I'm a super plain dude. There are two things I think I could reasonably wear. This beanie,
hat, yeah,
right. Which I'm wearing a beanie on almost like every single show. As we pointed at the beginning of the show, Lou and I are both sporting our Lucky Trader beanies. I do not have
worn a different one.
I don't have news about when they may be accessible to the public, so sorry to push that out there, but I could maybe pull that off, maybe. And then this hat down here at the bottom as well. The
so only hats
coming. Only hats. Yeah.
So the question in general, and this is just general when it comes to merch, like, would you pay 1 Ethereum to get maybe that hat?
1 Ethereum?
I mean, the creature floor is like 1.5 now, right?
Oh,
but
well,
you're paying like to get that. That's what I mean. Like when merch comes out, should that be pushing the needle in getting people to rush in?
Absolutely,
I mean, I would wear that middle one. That's the one I would get, because if you're getting it, I'd like, why not just get the weirdest one and like the I am Creature World? Because when are you gonna wear it? Like, if you go to a Creature World event.
Okay, so I do have some takes here.
I wouldn't do those jeans.
I have some takes here. I was at a Creature World event. I was at a Creature World event, and it was an interesting place. I told you there was a gentleman who was painted as his creature, but people love the creatures. People love Danny Cole. As for the whole, like, should I buy this NFT for the clothing? Of course not, in my opinion. Now, we talked about this a few weeks ago with the Adidas thing, right? Like, the Adidas drop gets you access to streetwear, and the floor is still 0.75, like almost 4x what the mint price was for that drop. So I know that's a little bit different, right? Because this is a super established brand kind of doing their first streetwear, not first streetwear drop, but their first NFT backed streetwear drop. In this instance, this is a little bit different of a situation, right? It's a brand new-ish project. It launched in August. It's only like 5 or 6 months old at this point, 5 months old at this point. Big aspirations, of course. I think Danny Cole has, certainly won plenty of favor from the community, given, some of his thoughts and opinions about, no rarities and things like that have definitely given him a unique place in the overall landscape of NFTs. I don't think that you should be actively purchasing a Creature World just for this merch. Definitely do not believe that the merch should be driving the needle here. But I do think, and I'm like fully not a fashion person, so I have no clue what advisory is, like if this is a notable brand or not. But if you are betting on the long-term prospects of Creature World, and advisory to you, or like this type of fashion to you, is a sign of like, oh, the potential things to come, then maybe it makes more sense. Maybe you're showcasing here that Creature World has the ability to lock up partnerships with notable brands in its infancy. And then you kind of think about like, well, what could come as a result of leveling up? When you think about it that way, I think it maybe makes more sense. But I would definitely not be using, and of course, nothing here is financial advice, but I would definitely not be using would not be rushing out, to buy a creature just to gain access to this merchandise. We also don't know. Do we know whether or not you have to be a creature holder to access this?
I don't know.
Look, advisory only has
sound like it.
1,300 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, they're like I think more like a local brand. They're like Brooklyn, maybe.
Yeah. Would you? We should just real quick before we sign off here, Lou. I need to go through one by one and ask you whether or not you'd wear it. Would you wear this?
Nope.
Okay. Would you wear this?
That seems like something you'd pick up at the thrift store for like a thing. Like potentially, because that could be like part of a Halloween costume.
Would you wear this?
No. Just because it's just a giant head on the back.
What about the beanie?
Yeah.
Okay. How about this one?
I think I'd wear this one before the other one.
Okay.
But
the jeans?
Not. No,
the jeans.
Definitely not.
This sweater you said you would wear?
Yeah, that would be the one that I would get, because that'd be like this is the creature. Like the picture with the model in it actually kind of looks kind of cool. With like
I think this and this is the one that Danny, I mean, he shared a couple of these before, but this is the one that has become, in my opinion, synonymous with Creature World merch. Is like, that's the one, right?
It's like the brand.
How about these pants?
Maybe, but they're like the way that they're standing is why I probably wouldn't. I thought it was just going to be like one of them as the leg, but that one, it's a little weird.
This sweatshirt, that one's simple enough. That was the denim Creature World jacket.
Oh man, this one, I feel like this one has a place. I'd wear that one before the pants. Like you wear that one with the pants, that'd be funny. This one, I think I would wear.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I would wear that shirt.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely wear this hat. I don't know. I'm not.
You don't think you have to be? Is it like a discount if you are a member?
I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
I haven't seen. Free, I mean, maybe we know more on January 6th. It can't be free. There's no way it's free. You
probably get it like at cost or something.
Maybe. We'll see. I am a full disclosure. I'm a Creature World holder. You're holding Creature World or not? Not anymore.
No,
okay.
I don't.
You were at one point, right?
I had. This is another one of this. I don't know how this keeps happening to me, but I had it for the what did they call it? There was that airdrop where you had to like group up with other people. What was that one called?
The playground. Creature World Playground.
I held one for the playground and it missed me on the snapshot, so I didn't get it. So I just have this like sour taste of like getting back in, because what if I get back in and then I'm not eligible for the merch drop because I don't know. So that's kind of like in the back of my head, but
1.38. We're starting to move upwards again. There was a lot of FUD.
It was under one at one point. It got to like 0.8, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of FUD recently, right, with the Creature World second journey, which if you folks don't already know, you can actually search it. Jason Bales put together a little piece on the second journey, and then there's been some updates since then. That was in late December, late December. There's been some updates since then. We're just talking about, before we kind of sign off here, one of the bigger updates for this week is the merch drop with advisory, or at least clothing line reveal. We don't exactly know all the details and mechanics behind it. January 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So some updates there, but there was some FUD based on, Danny Cole really hyping up the second journey, and people really kind of like soured on what exactly it was, which more or less was like a re-roll of traits,
Yeah.
For the most part.
And I had looked at it because I was, I think we had talked about it. I was like, I was looking to buy before the merch because I was thinking like, oh, I could maybe get the merch, but then I don't know. There was just so much, like you said, there's FUD around it, and people were so down on it, and I don't know. It's tough. This is the type of thing where this is a project that's kind of nichey.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, even just looking at that merch, like, you have to kind of be the type of person who's into sort of weird stuff. I don't really know how to describe it. What would the term be? Like alternative, I guess.
Eccentric.
I think alternative, maybe.
I think this is like pretty typical. I don't know, Lou, because
like
I'm
Brooklyn.
so plain.
They're like Brooklyn
hipster. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of hipstery. Like this is
why I
something.
think alternative.
Who is not, at least to my knowledge, not picked up the NFT game yet? Russell Westbrook, but huge fashion guy, right? A lot of NBA players are. Russell just happens to stand out to me as somebody who's really kind of pushed forward some alternative, eccentric, whatever fashion styles. I could totally see Russ wearing something like this and like fully embracing it. Maybe that's where Creature World needs to go.
Known creature holder Shaquille
O'Neal, right?
Would he wear that?
They don't make this pant that big.
I mean, imagine if Shaq came in with those pants and that shirt combo to some like inside the NBA or whatever. Like if he just was wearing that shirt, that'd be some sort of statement.
Yeah, it would. We'll follow it along. Otherwise, as we try to wrap up here and send people on their way, just hop back to the schedule page at luckytrader.com. Of course, you can head there every single day to take a look at, kind of what's coming for a particular day. We tweet it out in the morning, but you can take a look at the kind of the upcoming drops. Again, this is a lighter week still. We have a Brain Drops drop that's coming, the next collection. You can get on the pre-mint list. You'll have actually some you'll have a head start if you hold the complete set. The first three are needed to have access to that kind of pre-mint. Brain Drops, Confluence by Devi Parekh. Not much else. Artbox Factory, Barely Bears, a Derek Jeter captain collection. Not much else in terms of like really sharp, fun NFT mints this week. But what I'm most excited about in 2022 is actually seeing some roadmap execution this year. I talked about that in my kind of 2021 review, 2022 update for the Lucky Trader team. Is like, I'm excited to see some roadmap execution. That's what we're seeing the first week. We've got POW token unlocking. We've got Creature World clothing line, many other things to come here shortly. APE token, maybe APE games, Gutter Cats are doing stuff, right? You have these teams now that are far enough in, they have war chests of money, and they're far enough into the project's lifespan that they can actually do things, or maybe capitalize on things that they'd already started. So I'm excited to see that. Any other thoughts, Lou, before we sign off, send people on their way for this week?
I'm really interested to see how this momentum plays out this week now that people are back to full week of work. It's a new year. So it'll be interesting to see if like the market keeps trending the way it has over the last few days. If we're still going to be an up only or if things level out a little bit. So
I'm on the last 6 hours view on luckytrader.com. Some volume dips. People head back to work, maybe not as much free time, but this is short time frame, right? Short time frame.
Yeah. I think the big things to watch are going to be that Chain Faces one later today. What kind of
Prime Ape Planet, which is revealing later today. Of course, you'll be able to see the rarities on luckytrader.com. Reveals later today. If you want to get to that,
How's that up to 3?
3 ETH nearly. But as I was mentioning on the project schedule page, you can actually head to project updates, which is where you're going to find those little updates on reveals or the arena opening, or if there's a team announcement. All those types of things are now accessible on the project updates page. So Primate Planet NFT reveal expected to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. Again, expected to be. Reveals oftentimes, lots of things in the NFT world, but reveals especially, it seems, oftentimes get delayed. So stay tuned to that. You'll be able to find the rarities and explore those assets at luckytrader.com once that reveal has finally taken place. Yeah, it's pretty wild. The last thing I want to make note of for those who have been here, thank you so much for joining. First show of 2022. Please do give us a rating, review, feedback, all those things for the show. We'd love to make them even better for you. I do want to let you know, we'll be back on the stream Thursday night. Not me. Lou will be here Thursday night, the Lucky Trader Lounge. And then Friday, we've got a special DeFi Kingdoms related show, which will be run and hosted by Lou. So if you're interested and you have been trying to find a way into DeFi Kingdoms or learn a little bit more about DeFi Kingdoms, of course, the DeFi/NFT game that has exploded here in the last couple months, you can tune into that Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time with Lou and others to talk about DeFi Kingdom. That's it for us today, though, folks.
$20 Jewel. It hit $20.
$20 Jewel. So if you're learning, if you want to learn a little bit more about Jewel, if you want to find a way to access Jewel, gain Jewel, be prepared for the AVAX expansion, whatever, Lou and others will have you prepared for that on Friday. Thank you so much for hopping in today. We'll catch you guys again on Thursday.